Man in the wilderness. Yes, man, but there so tonight, when I say, man, tonight is our talk. All right, so here it is. Tonight, special guest, is the spokesperson and health and wellness, Dr. Alfred Dawes. The PNP spokesperson for health and wellness. Now, I talk about a real medical doctor here, Yes. So we're going to talk up some things and things. Right now, I'm just reach home and him just get for sign in and just talk to me, That's it. See what me I talk about right away. Dr. Dawes.
Good night, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to our talk, we just talk to the people, them just run on in a jobs, so, them a wait for the interview, them a wait for it. Yes?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. Sorry for being late. Good evening, everyone. I was in the constituency, so I just got back. Where I knew that I had some reliable Wi-Fi. I didn't want to do it on the road.
Yes, man. Good. All right. Before anything else, can you just introduce yourself to the wider, audience, and we in the diaspora too, Yes, and your party you're running for, and you call it the CV. Your CV.
Well, boy, I've spent a lifetime building up a medical career CV as a general surgeon, a laparoscopic surgeon, minimal invasive weight loss surgeon. I've been in the trade union and leadership in the medical fraternity as a former president of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association. I've been in administration in health as the senior medical officer at Savlamar Public General Hospital. I've worked at several hospitals in Jamaica, Bahamas, Brazil, and had training in my specialties in Jamaica at UWI, the Bahamas, in the US, in Brazil, and Israel. So that's the medical side of it. Outside of that, I consider myself a part-time journalist in terms of I used to write for the Sunday Gleaner as a columnist, and before that, the Jamaica Observer. And I do my little social media stuff where I do mostly educational videos, which is where maybe most people would have seen me from, some TikToks where I break down medical problems with a West Indian Caribbean slant, because we still cater to the rest of the Caribbean. And then a year ago, I ventured into politics and representational politics in Southeast St. Catherine, and that's where I am based right now. And a month ago, I was appointed to the shadow cabinet by the party leader and leader of the opposition, Mark Golin. And I am the shadow spokesperson on health and wellness.
Mm-hmm. Right there, I want to ask you a lot of things now, because people are suffering. We see America move up. The first time in our history, me never see America look on a country, especially Jamaica. I never see this before. Yeah. And use the medical facility where run down. We don't have none. Zero. It gone to the dogs. I mean, you working at the field and when we say gone to the dogs, you're supposed to know. I'm not gonna play some video to ask you some question about this. And strike we up a level 3 travel advisory. Because them don't want them people for sick and then end up in the morgue because them never get for reach over. Them say it's expensive for fly and everything. What's your take on that?
Well, look, you can play politics all you want, but the fact of the matter is that the only time we have had medical advisory or travel advisory with respect to health is when we have had outbreaks, whether it's dengue, COVID, which was the major one, of course, and when Chick-V was around, they had mentioned a travel advisory. But then to talk about the state of the hospitals, this is not an epidemic that's going to go away in a few weeks. We are talking about the chronic conditions of the hospitals, which are underfunded, under-resourced, and the likelihood of you going there and getting suboptimal care is very high. The unfortunate thing is that the government has made this about tourism. And they're deflecting that the reason the travel advisory was made was because of the poor state of the hospitals. And rather than tackling that, they're talking about tourism and whether the travel advisory was warranted and how it's going to affect tourism. And that to me is a blatant disregard for the people you are serving, the Jamaicans who are sentenced to use these deplorable healthcare facilities and get substandard care on a daily basis. That is what we ought to be confronting.
All right, so I could go into this. I'm going to play a video. The first thing I'm going to play some video. Because we have a hard talk, you know. Tough tongue, we are come hard. Because we understand him hard talk, you know. We don't worry about nothing. I'm going to play the first video and I'll ask some questions. Let's watch this.
Hold on. Where you want this to go?
I gotta use the bathroom.
Yeah, this is not going to go.
I need something to wipe, but I have to use the bathroom right now.
Yeah, but you need to get tissue.
I've been asking for tissue since I've been here. I've been asking for tissue since I've been here.
Yeah, but this is not.
And there's still no tissue in any of the bathrooms. I've been asking for tissue since I've been here. I've been asking for tissue. No one's giving me any tissue. I also need another diaper. I need another diaper and I need some tissue. I've been asking for tissue since I've been here, and now she's mad because I'm using paper towels. What else am I supposed to do? Can I have a diaper, please? This shouldn't be like pulling teeth.
This is. We don't provide those personal things for patients.
How am I supposed to know that when I'm not from here?
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, so somebody should have informed me.
All right, this is so bad. You know, I feel so bad on this. You know, a patient that heard that she lost her baby, right? Of a miscarriage and went to the hospital there. And this is what the nurse took on her and tell her. And then Christopher Tufton come out now and said them have 1,500 toilet tissue in storage. And not no gossip. Which we know something go that way. Because it happened in other bathroom facilities, other hospital with them bathroom facilities. Nothing there. Break down everything. What's your take on this?
The problem is that we never address the root cause. We try to pretty up everything. We like to put a lipstick on a pig. So immediately the pushback, just as with the travel advisory here, oh, it's tourism and because the surrogates came out and says because of the Chinese foreign minister visiting or because they have something to do with diplomacy why they issued it. The immediate knee-jerk reaction of the Ministry of Health, instead of looking at the root cause of the problem, they are looking at how they are going to prove that it was not so. And whereas they may have a lot of toilet paper in storage, the fact of the matter is that the end user, the doctors and nurses, the ward assistants, the patients themselves, they don't have it. And that's a problem with inventory management. Now, I've seen it at various levels in various hospitals. We don't have proper inventory management systems. We don't know what are proper reorder points. How long it's going to take for the toilet paper to leave the warehouse to come to the hospital. If it's a day, all right, fine. You have a little buffer system so that you don't run out completely. So by the time it comes in that day, you have a day supply so that you always have toilet paper on demand. The other thing that you have to look at is the true cost of corruption. Now, when you are overpaying for supplies because your friends are benefiting and you're getting kickbacks, which is rampant in the health sector, the taxpayer is not getting value for money. It means that if you could buy 1,000 toilet paper, you're only able to buy 800 because 200, the money you spend for 200 worth of toilet paper is going back into kickbacks. So we always are shortchanged because of corruption. And that is the true cost of corruption. We see it panning out with supplies. We see it panning out with contracts, the time it takes to finish projects, the cost overruns. All of these is when you have to price in who have to get their cut in all of these things. So it's twofold. You have to fix the corruption and you have to fix the system and put in proper inventory management systems, proper lead time for ordering, proper reorder levels so that you never run out of the toilet paper. And when you're buying toilet paper, you're getting the best value for money. And it's so sad, Wayne, that we're here to talk about healthcare and we're talking about toilet paper management. That is how bad the health sector is.
Can you imagine? Can we imagine? Because I see some of the videos, right? Circling around. A matter of fact, we have friends there where all right, pinchers get shot in one of man. I think in left hand and thing, right? In left hand. Get shot.
Mm-hmm.
The artist been shot, pinchers.
Yeah,
went
man,
to
pinchers,
public
man.
hospital and them send him outside for operate on him when them see him. And then him buck a guy where him know in there for 8 months. Him don't have any money for buy a pin and him just lay down there. No pin. You can't believe these things, man. These things, you know, unbelievable. That mean the government and actually the government and the health minister, them on go doing PR. Where the money going, them on go doing PR because the people them not getting service. You agree with me? Them getting any service?
Well, you know, we talk about free healthcare, and you get what you pay for. Meaning that you get basic services which are always substandard. So if you need your pins and screws and plates for surgery, you have to buy it outside. In some instances, if you need your mesh fixed, you have to buy it outside. If you need a drain put in, you have to buy it outside. If you want to get back your biopsy results to show that you have cancer, it's better you send it off to a private lab, because I have seen we have done surgeries, cut out colon cancer. Every week the patient is coming back for results and you cannot get the results until the cancer grow back. Start have symptoms again before you start the chemotherapy. These are the things that keep happening over and over. But we have really nice bathrooms at KPH. That is what is on the front page. We have a comfort dog at Bustamante, so you feel better. We have nice ribbon cuttings. We have paints giving facelifts, but we still have long waiting times. We still have patients laying down. And, you know, 8 months, that is very believable, because I've seen so many instances where by the time the family get together, the money to buy the plate and screws and pins, the surgeon now has to break back the leg because it has healed in an abnormal fashion. So you have to break it back in order to fix it properly straight. But this is common. This is all over Jamaica. But you're right. It's a lot of PR to make us believe that things are happening. And what the whole idea is to drown out all of the negatives. So something negative comes out, you know that there's going to be a ribbon cutting soon. There's going to be an opening, grand opening of something. They're going to talk about dentures. And you're going to smile because you're going to see somebody smiling for the first time, or you're going to do something where the children are laughing and it's something positive. So it drowns out that outrage that you had, which is legitimate because the root is not addressed and the system is still broken. But that is what has kept the health sector going over the last 8 years. For us to think that, you know, we are not so bad after all.
All right, I just see them broke ground in Spanish Town. So them building a new hospital in Spanish Town. And that show me off, because why you build a new Spanish Town hospital? Give me a better idea where them could have put that hospital now. So better suit the people then.
Wait, you know, this talk about making Portmore a parish. It is so disrespectful to Portmore people, because you're talking about a parish, and one of their people went on stage and outlined the reasons why they wanted it to be a parish, to control the political leadership of St. Catherine and to control certain divisions. You know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But you talk about, you care for the people so much, you want to see them developed, and you don't give them a market, you don't give them anything, no cemetery, and you have couple $1 billion where you could put a hospital in Portmore, and instead you choose to put an addition in Spanish Town when all of the needs assessment shows that St. Catherine is growing, and a lot of that growth is taking place in Portmore and its immediate environs. Now, my proposal, or what I would have done, and hopefully it's not too late to change it when we get into power, is that if you look at Spanish Town, it is at the crossroads of the North-South Highway, basically, and the East-West Highway. So it is in the perfect location for it to get all of those traffic accidents, all of the trauma that is being referred from North Coast and from as far as Mandeville, all the way down to Savlamar, Lucy, etc. Build a trauma center at Spanish Town, put in proper ICU, make sure you have your CT scan, your ultrasound, put in a blood bank where people can donate blood right there and it's processed. So that with all of the shootings and so on that's going on in St. Catherine, all of the traffic accidents on the highways, everyone can transfer those patients there. And in doing so, you take the burden of KPH, because KPH has a lot to deal with and is the only, Spanish Town right now transfers to KPH, all of the trauma. But right now, you would make it in a situation where Spanish Town would now be receiving trauma and be able to manage those trauma victims adequately. KPH gets a break. Spanish Town is more functional, better staffing, etc. Portmore now has a trauma hospital it can refer to rather than going to KPH. And then you have money left over because it's not a 6-story building you're putting up. That money that is left over, you build a hospital in Portmore. It doesn't have to be big and fancy. What Portmore needs is a hospital that has a 24-hour A&E, has to have a lab, has to have a department where you can get X-ray, ultrasound, and CT scan. And what you would prioritize is maternal and child health, because Portmore is a growing population. It is a starter home for young couples, and you do have some elderly who have been there a while, but you need a birthing center. And when you build up that hospital where the mothers can get antenatal care and they can give birth, you take the burden off Jubilee. When the children who are getting their asthma, which is very common in Portmore, they have their sicknesses, respiratory problems, they have that hospital they can go to, you take the burden off Bustamante. So you solve the waiting times and the access to care at KPH, Bustamante, Spanish Town by building a hospital in Portmore. And that hospital in Portmore sits perfectly in your 10-year strategic plan of having a hospital in St. Catherine. So I'm not saying that I have all the answers. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of this what I'm telling you is I get from people when I walk. But you kind of listen to people and process it and put it together. But
Yes.
who are they listening to why they had the opportunity to put a hospital in Portmore, but instead they decided to expand Spanish Town and make it this grand hospital while Portmore is still suffering, Bustamante will still be overcrowded, Jubilee will still be overcrowded, and Spanish Town will still be sending patients, if they don't have an ICU, to KPH for treatment.
So in other words, they want to turn it into a parish. But this parish now, you'd have banned out a parish.
It's the worst parish.
They've ban out a parish.
They would plan to upgrade
and everything you do
Portmore.
with a parish, your morgue, your cemetery, your hospital, everything. What's the parish? Them did want to turn a parish just for political gain.
With
Because
one fire
I heard
truck
it.
at times.
I heard it. Huh?
With one fire truck at times.
With one fire truck. And I heard that it down. One fire truck down.
Well, the other day I heard that it had just come back from repairs. So God forbid there was a fire anywhere in the entire municipality, it would have burnt to the ground. So the idea then is to upgrade Portmore into the worst parish in Jamaica, because it doesn't have anything. You can't bond there, you can't bury there, you can't get treated there.
Nothing. You don't go market there. You don't.
You
You
can't
don't
go
work
market.
there neither, because there's a little handful of people here for work outside.
That's the design. You know, there's no proper transportation system there. Again, you're talking to people. This lady is saying, yes, they come with the gimmick of decreasing the bus fare to $70. But then you cannot find any bus. You have to take taxi. And what did they do? Increase the taxi fare. So they give with one hand and take back with the other hand. But then there's a grand announcement about a decrease in bus fares, and the people on the street are just not feeling it.
Can I put something to that? I heard the Minister Transportation said you have to have the press stockyard to get the discount. But when the Minister Finance Minister was announcing that, he never said anything like that. Him say, you know, you can get it there and then by April it go down. So this one now,
it's for the elections. Right. It's just for the elections.
For the election. All right, make I ask you a question again. This one now, visual enough people. Yeah, man, I have to ask some questions. But me have real doctor to talk to. Remember me interviewed Dr. Christopher Tufton already, you know. But, you know, he never take responsibility for not yet. And him and the minister. All right, now talk to the shadow minister now, right? I'm not going to show you this, right? This is the death toll from the COVID. See it? I just show the people them the death toll, right? This now is 3,739. Why the government never tell the people them? Because the government caused this, you know, the election. We can just tell them straight up the election. But why the government never come straight full and talk to the people and tell them so much for them old people, for them grandparents, people who are sick, them mother, them father and thing. All this because of them and the uncaring ways to run with the election.
I was hoping you wouldn't touch COVID tonight. You know, we should have a safe word for me to give you a signal and say don't go there. I don't even know if Jamaican people are ready to hear half of what really happened with COVID, because the talking points are that we handled COVID very well and we recovered stronger and better than many Caribbean countries, to the point where our economy did so well that we were able to grant politicians 200% increases, etc., and pay down the debt. The fact of the matter is that is one of the biggest lies ever told to Jamaican people. Start with the death toll. Now, we don't know how many people died from COVID, because in many cases they weren't tested and the deaths were in. So if you look at when they were releasing the deaths, whenever they wanted a lockdown, you would hear that 30-odd people died from COVID. But then when you look at the time frame during which they counted those 30 people, it would be months. So they would have some people who died, they would be sitting down on it and they say it's not confirmed. But then as soon as they're ready to lock down the country, they would suddenly become confirmed. So you would have people dying from January to July in that 30. And then people would like, geez, 30 people dead from COVID, it getting out of hand, and they support the lockdowns. And then you would have a time where a lot of people are dying, but then they're not confirmed, so you can't say it's COVID. And they use that to manipulate us all. Why I never said anything is because the distrust in authorities would lead to a complete breakdown in the system. I did criticize, not many people would have looked at my platform then, but I wrote before the election that they should not have that election. They should postpone that general election, because it is going to cause a spike in 2 weeks, which would have been 2 incubation periods, 7 days. 7 days, it double, and then another, it double. And that article I wrote was in the Gleaner, and so be it. Election was on the 3rd, and on the 17th was when we had that big spike in COVID. And it was all brought about by persons going to vote, going for people to vote, and the mass gatherings on nomination day, for election day, the celebrations after. So many Jamaicans were sacrificed in order to get that election the right way they wanted it. And that medical advice that I gave and that others gave were ignored. And that was one of the reasons why I said, I cannot just sit with that platform and allow things to continue the way they are. Because, yeah, you'll write things and then it gets to certain people and they'll read it. But the majority of people who can make the decisions, they weren't getting to hear what I had to say. But there's a lot about COVID that needs to be said in terms of how the money was spent, how the resources were allocated, especially in the Ministry of Health, and what we have to show for that. The greatest capital spend in the Ministry of Health in a generation. Are we better off? How many more ICU beds do we have? How many bed spaces do we have? How many ventilators do we have? We got donations. We got money to build out. We got it. There was so much money pouring into it. And now we have never seen any audit come out or any mention of how much have we grown with all of the resources that were thrown at us. So that's something that's very sensitive to me. At some point, I'll say more, but there's a lot to answer for COVID, and the people must know the truth one day.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you next thing right now, video. Because switch one of the video I'm going to show you. This was done in the West, the hospital done in the West. Because them say them spend a lot of money, I have to show you this, for the people them going through. That's about you, right?
Hold on. Alright, I'll fire down there go now. I got like he want me to come out for game it.
That's the bet, $500 bet. Alright,
Yeah.
never move this because this weight will start. This are down to the best. Alright, these are the free treatment to the people them get. Free health system.
All right, let me tell you what happened with this whole bed situation now. The first thing you'll hear is that it's because of social cases. People leave their relatives at the hospital and they don't come back for them. Now, social cases are patients who have gotten better and they just really need to be discharged home. Some people live alone and they can't take care of themselves. A significant number of these patients are mentally ill patients, and the relatives don't want them or they just don't have anybody to care for them. Now, when they were downgrading Bellevue, part of the whole island-wide solution to mental health care was to have what I'll call halfway houses where, somebody, when Jamaican people say head taking you don't have to go to Bellevue. You don't have to go to you go to the hospital, you get the treatment, and then just for them to watch a couple of days, make sure you're taking the medication. You go to these little halfway houses where they would watch you, and then after a while, you'll be able to go back home. These houses would have been able to house a lot of the social patients because they don't require medical care. You just need supervision and have a doctor or so nursing aid come and visit once in a while. That was never implemented. It is still in the master plan. It was just never implemented. The other set of patients are just elderly patients who really and truly ought to be going to the infirmaries. The Ministry of Local Government, as far as I know, has consistently been objecting to any expansion to take these patients out of the hospital. All it takes is for additions to the infirmaries and then you get the patients out and you free up a lot of beds. So again, it is political will to get things done while you have a short space of bed. The other thing, you mentioned it already, patients waiting for surgery. How can you have somebody in a hospital 6 to 8 months waiting for surgery because they can't afford something? When we talk about waiting lists for surgery, again, there was you really know your stuff, but they had come up with this great plan to send patients to private facilities to get surgery and so on. But the waiting list for surgery is twofold. One, the people who are actually waiting for the surgery itself can't afford the things that they need to pay for. Or they can afford, but there's just no operating time in theater because there's so much trauma. The AC is breaking down every minute, the equipment breaking down every minute, so that they're just stuck on the ward and they can't get the surgeries done. So they're just basically inpatients for a prolonged period of time. Or they may not have antibiotics and get infections. You don't have the right antibiotics. It's hard as a doctor when you start antibiotic and they tell you that you can only get 3 days worth. And when that 3 day done, you know how drug resistant goes because doctor said, make sure you take it even after you feel better. Take the full course for the week. And yet when we're in the hospital, you run out of antibiotics and you have to start a new antibiotics. And then by the time that one run out is the original antibiotic, you start back again. So you end up with all of these bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics. And it's hard to treat. So simple things like urinary tract infections killing people. So you have all of these people in hospital not going anywhere, and then you have an influx of patients coming in now, and because those persons laying on the floor, they have to wait until they can get an ambulance to go outside to get an ultrasound or a CAT scan, or waiting for the lab results to come back, because we have not invested in CAT scans and ultrasounds in the hospital. Sometimes it's simple x-rays, but it breaks down because there's no maintenance package. So they're waiting overnight, 2 days in A&E, can't go home, but they're not admitted. And then when they finally get admitted, there's no bed on the ward. So they just have to stay same place again. So you as a doctor or a nurse there in that high stress environment, and obviously everybody is going to be upset. Everybody wants to go to their yard. All the relatives want to talk to you what's going on. But then you don't have anything to report. So the nurses get frustrated, the doctors get frustrated, and somebody come and offer them a plane ticket out. What do you think they're going to win?
Them gonna leave.
So everything is linked. The migration is linked to all of this. The patients on the floor is linked to the labs, the lack of X-ray, CT scans, the lack of ambulances to take them. Meanwhile, we're outsourcing. I don't even know there needs to be an audit for this as well. How many hundreds of millions of dollars outsourced for CT scans and ultrasounds and so on, when you could use that money and buy and maintain CT scans in every hospital? We're just running some calculations, my team and I today. That money with that NHT lent to those people, and you have to say lent because you can't give somebody something to bill for you and then them decide they're not going to give bill, they're going to give you back the money. That 600 million could outfit every single hospital in Jamaica with a CAT scan.
People, let them digest that. Repeat it again. The 600 million, but them give them friend for bills.
Could have bought a CAT scan for every single hospital in Jamaica. So when I talk about the cost of corruption, we are feeling it every day. The fix, it is not so hard in a lot of times. Sometimes you have to make policy decisions. Sometimes you have to do reforms and so on. But a lot of low-hanging fruit are there if you just go in and decide you're not going thief. It's as simple as that. And you talk about the importance of something like that. 7,000 Jamaicans get a stroke every year. 2,400 will die every year. And when you get a stroke and go to a hospital, this is something that can be treated. In modern developed health systems, what happens? You get a stroke, they give you diagnose at the same time because you have a CAT scan within hours. And then if you can get treatment within 6 hours, if it is bleeding in the brain, you have somebody, you either go to a facility where you can stop the bleeding, or if it is a clot there, you start on medication to dissolve that clot or remove the clot. But you can't give something to dissolve clot if it's bleeding because it make the
And you
bleeding
don't
worse.
know, you might have to make it worse. You give them
So, yeah.
warfarin, and it make it worse. Or
So, yeah.
something like that, you know. Heparin make it worse. So,
Right, the heparin will thin the blood and make it worse. So it's two
to make
different
it
things
worse,
that to look at.
You see me going in there, Dr. Field too, you know.
But I tell you, so you know too much. Probably have to go bring you in as an advisor or something. But it all starts with diagnostics. So if you get the diagnostics, then you know those 7,000 people who get a stroke every year, not many of them, you won't have 2,400 dying with early intervention. And then those who can't talk or can't walk or can't move, you will have much less of them because you would have been able to improve the blood flow to the brain.
Reverse the thing before it gets so, yes.
Damage is reversed.
The damage, yeah. Reverse the damage, yes.
So that is the cost of corruption.
But you just said 650 million could have outfit all the hospital in Jamaica. So the next question I'm gonna talk about now, then this to the people them now. So when you think about, I call it Beryllium Regional Hospital, that's a Cornwall Regional. I rename it because I chop the money. 14.1 billion. Remember, you know, if it's a 1 billion, you know. You say 650 million could have out the whole of these hospital. But this a 14.1 billion for a building when it not gone nowhere yet. That means the government ramping with the people, their money. 14.1 billion. You'd have CAT scan overs. You'd have ventilating machine. You'd have everything. You could have everything. You could have medication. We could have some nice hospital around. Why them don't do this?
It's too late at this point in time. But there's a lot when you talk about wastage in COVID, Cornwall, there was so much wasted. The amount of money spent on renting tent and renting buildings to have clinic, it's just a whole heap of renting going on. So a lot of that money it's just gone, and there's nothing to show for it.
Somebody said to ask you see, Mr. Dawes, when the PNP, them say, all right, them say will be the ruling government, would you encourage Mark Golding have a national inquiry and help between 2020 and 2022? I don't tell him to have it from 2016. Because them start on the building from 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. It changed name to Beryllium Regional, you know. That's on my site, right? That me have in my book. Beryllium, because them chop it, you know, like when them want money, them just run to the Beryllium, and you see a same thing I want with Cornwall Regional, you know. It's not named Cornwall Regional again, you know. Beryllium Regional Hospital. Because that's some chopping money.
Yeah.
14.1 billion with a B. Yes. 14.1 billion with a B. It's unbelievable.
My predecessor, Dr. Morris Guy, had already called for an audit, you know. So this is something that has already been called for, and I strongly suspect that we are going to prioritize that as one of our first orders of the government.
Yes. Repeat. You just cut off and coming back.
No, I'm saying that I believe that we're going to prioritize audits when we form the government, because there's just too many dark areas where we're not seeing where the money is going, and we don't have anything to show for it. Because a new hospital could have been built with the money that was spent on Cornwall. No doubt about it.
You know what? Because that's something to the people. We have a lot of people here now, over 1,000. You know, a lot of people watch us. Let me tell you something, though, people. If the 650 million could have fit out all hospital in Jamaica with a CT scan, and maybe leave more money because you work it out, that means the fire station where I don't know what's the name. I just call him the local government minister, Deadman Mackenzie. The fire that minister build a fire station in Mobile for 600 million, like 580 million. I said, one place. I see it a leak right now. That money could have outfit the whole hospital same way with the CT scans. I could have done a lot of things. Then people overspend some money than people. Them are overspend some money, but them the business about your health. When them sick, Miami, 28th wing, them all right. But the masses of people stay there and suffer. And all them do is PR for cover up them lies and dishonesty. You agree with me, sir? Because dishonesty, you know, and the people them get hurt. This need to stop. So we need honest government. What you saying on that? Yes.
But you know, the first thing they're going to push back is how I know that the 600 million candidate, and it's simple. I'm part of a group right now that's setting up a hospital in Portmore, private, of course, but we are getting CT scans for anywhere the bids, you know, 120, 130,000 US. So you do the maths. That's 20. Yes. That's 20 million.
Yes.
And when you look at the number of hospitals in Jamaica, as the lowly type C hospitals are included, you're talking about 26 hospitals. So you can do that.
Remember, all right. So 20 million. So 200 million can buy 10. So you can buy 30, 10 can buy 30 with 600 million. Simple. We do the maths.
And we have 26 hospitals.
I mean, that's a 30. So some of them could get 2.
So you know the counterpoint they're going to come with, because what they like to do is to bore holes in arguments and build straw men. So you end up arguing how much for a CT scan rather than looking at the cost of corruption, which everything comes back to. Yes. It's really when you pay for something, if you're getting value for money, then you can get more, so you don't run out of supplies.
Yes.
And you can outfit other places. But we keep on overpaying to selected people because those people are a part of a group that funnel money in different ways and keep it in that circle. And what happens is that it looks like it's a victimless crime because we call it corruption. But when you're taking out so much money out of the system and out of the budget, there's so much less to pay the people who are providing healthcare. And this is when you run out of toilet paper and those things. So the issue of corruption is serious. And you know, I was saying it to someone this evening that the vote buying thing is so serious, because what happens is that these guys, when they collect all of their money off the different contracts and so on, is the same, call them the big trousers man them. They are the ones who are going to give enough crumbs out of what they get for election day to pay for the $5,000. And if that continues to work, it means that that system that they have set up, where the politician now does not look out for the needs of the constituent or the needs of national development, but the needs of their donors, because they know that the donors can buy the votes to keep them in power. That system, that is what is going to be tested this election cycle. Because if it is allowed to continue, then we have no democracy. It's just an elite group of people who are going to be controlling all of us.
Well, the masses, the masses of people, them now be fool again with these kind of things. And the people that will sit down, never vote, them will come vote this time. This will not work. Because the people don't feel it. When you can use a 650 million could have outfit the hospital with CT scan. By the way, I save food no matter on a father, even food no one lives.
Everybody knows somebody who got a stroke. There are so many Jamaicans who have had strokes that you know somebody who has had a stroke. I have had several people in my family who have stroke because I have high blood pressure in my family. And when you look on it, the risk of a stroke is so high in Jamaica. About a third of Jamaicans have high blood pressure. But half.
Some don't know. A lot of them don't
half,
know.
not just some. Half of them don't know.
Yes.
You have some. Every time I do a health fair, I get a headache after, because there are people walking up and down with blood pressure 190 over 120.
And they don't know that cannot mash them down same time. Anytime them can.
Anytime they get bad news, somebody bad drive them, anything can happen, and that is why we keep getting strokes. And when you listen to these people, you know, you have failures at every level. When you listen to a lot of these people, they get a long date to go back to clinic because the clinics are so packed. but there's nobody there to adjust the medication and to be checking it in between. One of the things I want to do is, you must know how the Cuban health system set up, where they have people very close to the citizens in the building blocks and the communities, and they check on them all the time. When you look at how Cuba dealt with COVID, when we went over there, they prioritized early treatment. And when I say early treatment, it means that you get diagnosed with COVID. In Jamaica, you would have, they say, go home and isolate until, and if you have symptoms, you go to the hospital. That thing is at home, mashing up your lungs without anybody checking on you until you can't breathe and you turn blue. That is when you go to the hospital, and for many, it's too late. In Cuba, they had another approach. You go home and isolate, and somebody come and check on you with a little device, a pulse oximeter, and the moment your oxygen levels start to drop, they bring you into the hospital and treat you. They do the same thing with, but they had that system, so they had to adapt it to COVID, and any threat that comes, they're going to adapt it. With high blood pressure, with diabetes, they go in and they check everybody. I remember listening to a team from the Ministry of Health in Cuba, and they said that they went and did a survey in that area, and they found out that they were going to have an increased number of kidney disease in the next 10 to 20 years. So they went in and they controlled everybody's blood sugar, blood pressure. They started them on medication. They taught them how to eat. They gave them alternate food supplies, not just having them with the rice and those things and bread. And what that did, when they continued to monitor them, it showed that the kidney function was decreasing right through. That is how.
So you reverse it. You reverse it before it gets too late.
Reverse it before preventative medicine. And it's a holistic way, because by the time you reach, if you're not going to spend the money on the CT scans in the hospital, spend the money to have somebody, a community health aide, check on Miss Dara or whoever blood pressure. So I make sure that they're taking the pills, because that way you control the blood pressure. That way is less heart disease developing in 10 years, less strokes, less eye problems, and less people on dialysis. And that is the approach I want to take.
Yes, you're going to your approach now, right? But tell me something. In 2019, I think Christopher Tufton said him outsourced, like him sending them to private doctor place to do the CT scan and these things. Where those money gone? Because people still are waiting for the CT scan. Them have to pay for it. But them have spent nearly $1 billion every year to these private places. Who is those private places? You know anything come to your doctor friend them or something? Because I don't know who I want to send some people to them too, Because him said them have pay the money every year. And that could have buy CT scan and do everything. You never have to send them and say
you could buy CT scan, you could buy MRI, you could buy ultrasound, put down with that money. When one of them break down, if you couldn't bother maintain it, you just throw it out and buy back another CT scan and put it, because the amount of money spent, and like I said, you're not getting value for money. And even worse, when they're doing these requisitions, they don't even check to see if you have health insurance. So the health insurance are getting subsidized. The health insurance companies are getting subsidized by the government with private scans getting done. And we don't know the cost that this has really been to the taxpayer, but we know it is hundreds of millions of dollars, which we know for a fact could have bought machines in at least, bought and maintained machines in at least the major hospitals. So again, you see these grand announcements and it sounds good. Another one was flying in doctors and nurses from the US to the surgeries. I've heard about instances where a whole team come down, but then they couldn't do the surgeries because they never had any sheets. And then wait. Yeah, I don't think you understand the reality on the ground.
Understand it well, man.
AC breakdown, tools breakdown. So you end up have a team here for days or maybe a week, and then end up doing one surgery. And then they're gone after the photo ops. And then the doctors who are here who could have done that surgery, they're still left without AC and without the sheets to put on the patient, the sterile sheets to cover the patient. So the root causes, you're going to hear me talk about root causes all the time because we are not addressing root causes. We're just doing a lot of cosmetics for PR.
That's PR. People suffering though. The dialysis is the next thing, the dialysis machine. You know, if you could have buy the CT scan with this money, that means them could have covered all hospitals with dialysis machine. A lot of people going to dead from their kidney disease, you know. That kidney thing, that same high blood pressure and everything, you know, because a lot of people, you know, and the diabetes and everything, a lot of people have kidney disease problem. Supposed to get treated out 3 times per week, they're going to get 1. Some not getting any at all.
All right. So dialysis now, if you so happen to have kidney failure and you need dialysis, if you're lucky, somebody on dialysis will die soon and you can get on the machine in their space. Otherwise, you're not going to.
So you are going to die, otherwise you just go and die.
If you're lucky, somebody on dialysis dies, so you can get that space. Otherwise, you're going to wait or die. Kidney disease, I can't remember, is either number 4 or number 5 top killer in Jamaica. And you can understand why, because when you have kidney failure, you need dialysis, like you said, 3 times a week. But because you're trying to squeeze in as many people as possible, you give them 2 times a week or less. So you can't remove all of the toxins from the blood, but at least you give somebody else a chance to remove some toxins from the blood.
Some, but gosh, man. So the government could have the amount of money they must spend even on this building. The 14.8 billion could have covered the whole of this, you know. And the money we outsource and I say make them do the X-ray and all kind of things because people still have to pay for this. It could have covered all these things.
I tell you something.
You just pay money at chop.
Let me upset you some more. There are companies now that will give you the dialysis machines for free if you buy the supplies from them.
I mean, the government joking. No, the government joking. So they will give them the dialysis machine for free from them by the supplies from them.
So you don't have that capital outlay. You just have to put it in your recurrent budget for dialysis. And then there is peritoneal dialysis, which I am working on a project right now with some doctors at UWI and local manufacturer in Jamaica, where if it is introduced to Jamaica, we can have people dialyzing themselves at home and going to work in the days and so on. If anybody out there in the diaspora can give me some assistance with peritoneal dialysis, this is not for profit for me. It is just something that I'm passionate about. And I'm trying to see if I can introduce it on a whole scale to Jamaica. But it's an alternative to hemodialysis where the fluid runs into your belly and then it stays a little while and then it runs back out. And that is how you exchange the toxins. But rather than going to a dialysis unit to spend a couple of hours 3 times a week, if you have the machines and so on at home, you can actually string it up, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow morning and dialyze. I am working with a local manufacturer to make the fluid, and we're just doing some test runs with it now to see how well people are. We know it's going to work because it's built to international standards, but to get a program like that going, it's going to need a couple of stakeholders, and I mean, I don't have the time or the means to build it out, so I'm trying to see if those who have it at UWI already, we give them this fluid, if it'll help with converting patients from hemodialysis to peritoneal dialysis. But I know that we have a lot of expertise in the diaspora with respect to medical care. I've spoken to quite a number of them already, and they're just itching to get back to Jamaica in a meaningful way where they can serve, where you don't have a whole lot of bureaucratic red tapes holding them up. So if you can use your links, or if anybody watching, I really want to get a peritoneal dialysis project off the ground. It's something that we can do now. I don't have to wait until I'm in government.
Okay, good. So anyone can link, just link me get the link and everything, yeah? All right. And next thing now, boy, I tell you, we have so much thing for ask, The mosquito, them have some mosquito thing that go around right now, don't it? You remember when they did have Chick V and You know, and then, you know, I think I hear tough tongue. When them was in the opposition, they make a lot of noise. But me know you them make a lot of noise now. I think them have some mosquito thing going around. How that going?
Well, you know, there's so many people that send me the videos of the people on the ground, the hospital beds. They send me roaches in hospital and they send a lot of stuff about mosquitoes. But I don't run out and talk about it and make posts on those things concerning those things because these are complex problems, as you would have realized from me explaining the whole hospital bed situation, etc. With mosquitoes now, you have to look at the local government as well as the Ministry of Health in terms of the vector control. But there are a lot of behavioral patterns in Jamaicans who believe that seeing what they call the swimmers in them tank mean the water good. The swimmers being the mosquito larvae. So they don't want to put that thing in it to cover it up to kill them, because then you don't know if the water good or not. As long as the swimmers in there, the water is it can't drink, because if them can live in there, it can. And then you have the old tires garbage collection is linked to that as well. We know that, you know, the Ministry of Local Government has done an absolutely poor job of garbage collection island-wide, and that has led to the level of mosquitoes.
Yes.
And in Portmore, it is really bad. The drains, you know, we have drains that the councils are responsible for, and then there are drains that central government are responsible for. And then some of the drains that central government have been responsible for have not been cleaned in over a year. You know, they have actually little islands in them now to how much dirt has built up. And there was some flooding the other day in Waterford and Gregory Park. And a lot of that was because even though the drains were flowing through the communities, there was a backup with the main drains. And that was what caused a lot of the overflow into their houses. So the mosquito problem is complex. Cuba, I like Cuba because they're just so innovative with what they do. They develop on their own. They have done very well in terms of some of their additives that are biological, meaning that it's not a whole lot of chemicals that they use. And they have done very well with eradicating. I can't tell when last Cuba get a dengue outbreak, because they just decided that they're going to get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. And it was a national campaign against that. You know, they declared war on mosquitoes. And if we did that, you know, we could get it to a manageable level, but it's going to need the input of local government in conjunction with Ministry of Health, as well as the Ministry of Local Government and the local government through the municipalities, everybody working together. And then public education now has to come in, where people understand the importance of controlling their mosquito breeding sites by adequate waste disposal, punching holes in cans, getting rid of old tires, etc.
Before I say anything, before I say one more thing, you know, I can just tell you now, Colin James said, when I'm happy to assist with the process. So Colin, link Mama Angie, you know, I think Mama Angie online, and then, you know, I will pass on some digit for you, for Dr. Dawes, and then you link him and go through the process. She said she will assist.
Appreciate it.
Same time. You know, I look through, well, what people link about them. We in a diaspora, but a diaspora very helpful, you know. A lot of people around us very helpful. A lot of them working in the medical field. By the way, I can just correct Andrew Unis with one thing, because him say, you know, the lowest unemployment rate. Although I correct him already, you know, because I show them, if them Google the unemployment rate in 2015, you get 1.3 million, 1,325,000. And then when you Google it to 2023, you get 1,320,000. Them update it in a couple of days ago, put it 1,377,000. You know, but let me tell you something. In a year before, because the year just start, January to September last year, 2,400 and something teacher leave the profession. You can't replace them there. You know. Them there are some job last where you can't just replace. You can't just get teacher and replace it like that. Plus, every year between them 2 years, more than 1,000 police can't too. Right? You can't just replace them like that. Nurses too. And you have some other professionals gone. So when them say, you know, we create this job and this job, I don't know what the matter call center. And when people go and register do something, them to stop it though. Because these jobs, and you can't just fill the gap when you don't have them to fill the gap. How many years nurse stay for train? Like 5?
4 years. But you have different levels.
So if them leave last year and the year before, that means you couldn't fill the gap yet. Over 2000 year before and last and just last year. When I'm saying it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense here. Because you have a count in the whole of these things here. All right. Yes.
We need to train nurses for export. We can't compete with what the developed countries are paying them. But when you talk to nurses who migrate, if they could get paid that amount or at least a livable wage in Jamaica, they would stay because it's not necessarily better for them there. But these countries are so desperate for healthcare workers that they will move your entire family and relocate, put kids in school, etc. Give you grants. You can't compete with that in Jamaica. Some years ago, the principals of I think it was Ross University, but there was a school that wanted to come into Jamaica and set up a nursing school. They would get some experience, they would work here for a while, and then they would migrate. Now, when you have that, you can pay the senior nurses enough to teach those juniors a decent amount, because you know that you'll be, when they go off whatever bonds and so on they're buying up, they will continue to pay back into the system. So what will happen is that you will have a cadre of nurses being put out every year. You train them up to the level that they want in the US. If they want to leave, they leave. If they want to stay, they stay. Some people may go and make their money and then come back. But if you have enough people, we can't fill that demand that they have of our nurses. Nor can you tell people to think about, one of the appeals was that, you must be nationalistic and stay in Jamaica and build a country. Nobody going to do that when they're watching you floss, and buying villas all over the place and how many developments you're into and how much you own, and then you're going to tell the average person to sacrifice. What we should do is work on the supply side, go into schools, tell kids that, look, this is a profession where you're respected, you're helping people, it's altruistic, and if you have that caring nature, male or female, you can go into nursing. And then you have scholarships available for them, and then you bond them, or if they're buying out the bond, then they go overseas. The recruiters will be very happy to buy out the bond. But we can't just look at, say, all right, you owe 4 years nursing school. What about all of the investment that the government would have made from primary level, high school, coming up to put a value on your education at that point in time? That is what we really ought to be looking for, so the recruiters pay a fair enough price so we can continue to have a system like that develop. When that proposal was made, there was so much hustling and requirements for kickbacks that they went to other Caribbean countries who benefited from.
The same kickback spoil that program. Okay. One of my co-hosts just asked, Daisy Maria, she asked, Dr. Dawes, what happened to the exchange program with Cuba?
All right. So Cuba, we do get a lot of nurses from Cuba. Some doctors as well. Now, we are now competing with the Middle East, Africa, South America for Cuban doctors and nurses. And the truth is that many of these countries pay more. Why they're more likely to stay in Jamaica is because we're so close and the culture here is close to that in Cuba. Plus, the Cubans, they have a special relationship with Jamaica. It's not just we like Cubans. Cubans love Jamaica as well, and they'll tell you about Manley and Castro being friends. But the problem is because they're so in high demand all over the world, you still have a lower number to choose for. So the recruitment is not as great as it was before. And then you still have to look at the language barrier. You have some Cubans they speak Spanish and they speak Patois, because whatever little English they had, it was not enough. So they had to come here and learn English. But it's not English them learning, them learn Patois. So you say them chat bad. So when they're talking, you have to be correcting them and giving them the Queen's English or the King's English. But there's a gap during which they would be acclimatized. So you can't just take a fresh immigrant nurse and just put them on the supervised on their own. They have to understand our culture. You know, as a Jamaican, I still don't know what it means when a patient come and tell me that they have a low feeling in their stomach. So you have to learn to
Yeah, man, they
search
feel
out
like
that.
them out for dead. Them out for
No,
pass
you know
out
what a
and them
low
still low
feeling
feeling.
is. Anybody know what a low feeling mean? You let me know, because I 20 years now and I still don't know. So you have to learn all of that. So it takes a little while before the Cubans get used to our culture, our framework, learning in operating in our environment with the resources that may be limited, etc. And then by that time, you know, it's a 2-year contract. Some of them go back home or they may want to get another experience elsewhere. So we can't rely on bringing in Cuban nurses and doctors. What we ought to be doing is to be ramping up the training of our own healthcare workers, understanding that not all of them are going to stay, but at least they are going to have to make a better life for themselves, and remittances are going to increase, and we would have at least a period where we have adequate number of nurses.
Mm-hmm. All right. We could just ask you one more thing here. One more thing, you know, because we're wrap up, you know, because, you know, we have to carry you back, you know, because we never start asking nothing yet, you know, but, you know, so 1 hour, we just have to touch you 1 hour, so we have to carry you back, because we still have to talk, because we want to ask you, you know, when you turn the health minister, we know, say, we never have to ask them things, because we know, say, you're a real doctor, and doctor, the first thing doctor do, you know, try to save life, preserve life. Real doctors. So and a doctor on paper this way, he does doctorate, you know. Real doctor, medical doctor, surgeon, right? So I know you're gonna make a difference. So I never ask that, because, you know, from what we get from you right now.
Wait, so no pressure on me, but you know.
We know that, man. We know
pressure that, man.
We know, man. Yeah? But I want to ask you something, but I have a video I want to show you. When people get shot, though, like when I say, when people get shot, I'm going to show you a video. You know, and Christopher Tufton, more I watch that video, right? Because the young man I call out for you, me say him expired doing. Me still do my look investigation. Him get shot, went to KPH, and then this happened. Hear this.
The oldest. When I do about my situation, when I do about the doctors, them at KPH, when I got to do about health, when I do about health, when I got to do about health, when I do about well-being, when I do about welfare, when I do, Jamaica, my Facebook friends, I'm wanting to post this wide. See there? About 10 me get shot last night. Then bring come from ICU in a no time. Put me on ward, see, I'm up on ward and a head shot me get grind shot, see there? None of them don't know what to do. Me a bleed out from the whole of last night. And I'm here, me go get surgery. I know that's can't hear. I can't get no water. The sailor now I get done. Eh? They want to keep me quicker than I'm for them. You know, my system empty. Oh. Jamaica. Facebook. Open to see poor people. I go through daily. Open to see what I go through daily. Suppose me never strong. Suppose me never have the strength. Suppose me never firm in my mind and know that God is going to preserve me. Suppose me never know that God is going to preserve me. Them people watch it dead. Because them only business about the pay where them are going to get a mountain. Very few of them business about life or business about people. Very few people who are working now business about life or business about love. Nobody now do them work for the love again. Or do it for save nobody life. Or do it for the money. And I watch them co-worker when I come. And say through them co-worker when I come, them now do no work. And that is it, Jamaica. Enough of the doctor and the nurse them. When they say short staff, instead of spare somebody life, them dead and say them co-worker now come no work. And them now get no money for them work. Some wanting to believe and use me as an example, because you see, if my head shot was certain way life threatening, believe my Facebook, I'm dead already. I'm not for dead. I'm going to live to declare the works of God. Show, oh my God, powerful. Show some my God, powerful. But them people that are working in the hospital, you don't really find a humanitarian. Yeah? 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 Christopher, tough time. Andrew only for the stuff. The phone from last night. From last night, I get shot in my head. And I'm a guy shot up. I'm with the surgeon, I can't, the surgeon, my dead pictures, my asthma, everything I kill me. No provision, not at all. Better I'm just dead. There's not no provision, there's not at all. I get shot in my head. Now my head, I get shot. I don't get shot nowhere else but now my head and I'm going to a detrimental spot. And I can't get no help now. I'm thirsty. See that? I'm thirsty. And me are dead. The one say I can't drink, I can't eat. And my chest tight up. What we are going to do in Jamaica with that system here? What we are going to do with that system here in Jamaica? Eh? What we are going to do as poor people in that system here? Eh? They don't know what I'm to my grind. They don't know what I'm to my head. And if I wait for a neurologist, oh, long enough after 4, I get shot from after 10 last night. I'm there, so. I'm there, so I can't get no help. I'm hungry, but thirsty. Watch out, see a line run out. And every time you can't call. Staff shot, everything shot. Nobody can get no help. What people, poor people are going to do? Suppose I dead, my dad dead. Thank God, so God spare my life. Suppose my dad dead, but I'm dead from last night because as I come in, who saw the pan strip for ill treatment like me and nobody. They don't know I'm get shot, they don't know the circumstances behind I'm shooting. But they don't treat me like nobody. You see, the one doctor youth alone there from last night to help. One doctor youth. You see? Right now, if anything for happen to me, I'm going to succumb to my injuries. Facebook wanting to say if anything for happen to me, I'm going to succumb to my injuries and the ministry's fall. Because, yes, sir, I don't know what's going on inside of me, but I still can talk. You see, I still can't relate. But I don't know what's going on inside of me. Because I feel pain all boy. I feel pain on the lower part of my body. I still don't know how to do it. A minute neurology, I got search, I can't research it now. I can't eat, I can't drink. Eh? So I don't know what. Now when they say they can't drink after a certain time before surgery, and them time they pass. That means I can drink or eat long time, I can drink something long time, the time they are wait. And nobody no concrete if you say me I go neurologist or what. You see? Some want to know Facebook.
Alright, so I'm going to show you something. Somebody just say 6 hours, and not 6 hours. They are talking like 18 hours. I'm going to show you something. Then I'll talk back to Dr. Dawes. I'm going to show you something. Always when you watch video, I'm showing you something. Look in the background here. I'll show you something now. Let me talk to Dr. Dawes. Let me see if I can see it quick. Alright, let me see if I can slow it down. Alright. You see the window them outside, you not see daylight. It's a 4 in the evening. 4 o'clock in the morning no look so. That's a window outside. Him get shot after 10. The window them when I watch the video that show me right outside. Remember, a doctor to me, a detective, everything to you know one in a doctor does. So him get shot from 10 in the night. And like this a 4 in the evening. Cause this is, you know, 4 in the morning when the dust up and light out like that. Not a public. So 4 in the evening. And him not done a surgery or nothing. Them just put 1 drip on him and that's it. You know, because them short staff and all kind of things. Now me drop it on the ministry. Dr. Christopher Tufton, me drop this on you, know. Because if it might pay the nurse them right and doctor them I get right pay and everything and the CT scan them up and everything up. Him supposed to get looked about by a certain time, don't it? Shot in your head, in your grind, and you just leave there like this. Is a room for disaster, right?
He died?
I heard that. I heard that he passed up. So we still do the investigation because, you know, sometimes we call it kill the public now. I know like KPH one time, Kingston Public, you know. We call KPH, you know, kill the public hospital. Because you go down there for a toenail, an ingrown toenail, and you end up on a slab. And that's the truth. It's a hand that tough turn on. I'm just talking straight as is. Without sugarcoat nothing. Yes. So when you look on this, it's terrible, man. It touches a lot of people.
You have a thing called triage.
Yes.
Where when you don't have the resources, meaning that the theater time may not be there. Sometimes it's one theater you have running, and multiple gunshots coming in. And you just have to look at who is more stable and let them wait. Because you can't do anything. You don't know when you're going to get into theater. So you just have to keep them NPO, nothing by mouth, which is what he's saying. So it's not like you could have gotten something from man. We don't know when you're going into theater. We don't know if a space will open up. We don't know if somebody who you're trying to bring in, they're going to die, so you bring that person in instead. It's complicated. And it goes back to, again, the resources available for theater, because if you have a theater brought down with AC not working, the instruments are short, you know, it may be one team that's operating. I don't know if you remember watching that video, it kind of trigger some memories for me. You remember in Westmoreland, I think maybe about 4 or so years ago, they had what you call the Grange Hill Massacre. Where I think
I remember it, yeah. I try to remember it.
about 15 people got shot that night, including some juvenile 2-year-old baby.
I think so.
I was the surgeon on duty that night, and I did all of those surgeries. I had a little assistant who was assisting me, and the police just kept bringing them in. The relative just, as soon as you finish, you don't even have time to close the skin. You just ask the assistant to close the skin of the patient who on the table. You take off your gloves quick. You go down A&E, and you assess a patient, and you see 2 of them, 3 of them come in. You make a decision. Who are you going to take to theater next? Which one look like, boy, them more likely to die, so you don't bother try with them. You try with the one who look like they might make it. It's a tough position to be in, because you're deciding who you're going to give the best shot at living. That night was pretty traumatic for the whole staff. We had to get counseling for them after. I think what really hit everybody was the 2-year-old baby who came in, never made it. But you have situations like this at KPH all the time, because it is a trauma center, which is why when I said if you set up Spanish Town as a trauma hospital, you take off a burden off KPH. It is extremely important when you're setting up a trauma system and a health system to have multiple locations where trauma victims can go, because we're getting a lot of bike accidents, car accidents, and a lot of shootings. We look at the murder rate every year, but we never really look at the shooting rate. A lot of people get shot, and they would have contributed to the murder rate had it not been for the doctors and nurses and staff at these hospitals who work over. I'm listening to him, and he said there's one doctor come to him from morning. That doctor
from the night, come up and did it till morning. Yes.
So I'm going to tell you, that doctor came to work 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock the day before, was on duty. So at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, when everybody gone home, that doctor worked the night shift back into the morning, and then a fresh
evening, 4 years.
A fresh day has started.
Yeah, fresh day.
And they work from 8 to 4, and that doctor is not going home until 5 o'clock. So you go work 8 o'clock one day, and you leave 5 o'clock the next day. If you're lucky, you get some time to sleep.
So tell me something, but that mash you up to. So them used to have more than one theater running a KPH. Most
But
of the time,
sometimes you have multiple cases going on. So like neurosurgery, specialized theater that you need. The general surgeons might be operating on in other places, but the neurosurgery cases take long. So if you have a neurosurgery case going on, that will take hours, you know. So it's a very unfortunate situation. You know, that man's cries, if he really passed on, that's a cry from the grave of somebody begging that this not continue. And these are the things that we have to focus on as a country rather than the gimmicks and the PR. Because it's real people suffering, real people. That's somebody, uncle, father, son. And we have to deal with them as healthcare workers every day. And a lot of people look at statistics, and the statistics don't mean nothing to them. But then when you have to go tell a relative that, you know, your son never made it, you can't even tell. I have been in a situation where, more than one occasion, where we don't have enough supplies, and we make a decision, all right, we're going to take a chance with that person and see if they'll make it through. But then, if we put the resources, we're going to save so many more people. This is a battlefield.
Whoa. So the hospital, and if it did have the resources, it'd be better off for what you're doing. Yeah. So instead of you get the resources, the government now I tell about one building, but stand up already, but them now build 14.8 billion. But this could have covered the hospital for a couple of years well, with everything it need. Every one of the hospital them. Yeah. And that's heart wrenching though. You understand? Because if you can use, going back to it, people, if you can take 650 million and put, you can get more than 30. And the thing, the machine, you can get more than 30. Yeah? The CT scan, right? But put that 20 million for one, right? 100 or 100. Just put that 20 million for one. You can get more than 30. Yeah? You can get more than 30. And then how much hospital we have to sort out, like 20 something?
26.
26. So if we have some hospital like you, we have some other place, could I get 2 or something? And then them need for putting some more theaters too. And get some more surgeon like yourself and thing. Them have to employ more surgeon. Them can't have one doctor and then them have an assistant. Them have to have some more surgeon. Because if you get so much trauma, population grows, so much trauma come in per day, you have to get more surgeon. I'm right? Me dey on track?
You're right.
Right.
You're right.
Me dey on track. So them now put the money where they might put some money where they might chop it. And by the way, as a doctor, me just ask you a question. Now people not gonna laugh. You know, me say my wife asks, want to ask a question where she asks. She say, I'm gonna ask you this, but I say what Mama Angie just asked. She say, so how the doctor function properly after so many hours?
Well, they have laws restricting that in developed countries. So after certain hours, you have to go home. It's illegal for you to continue to work.
Oh, because you make mistakes.
Because after certain hours without sleeping, your level of functioning and your judgment and memory is similar to somebody who has been drinking, who was intoxicated. So yes. in Europe, North America, after certain hours, you have to go home. And if they find you on the compound, the hospital itself gets into trouble. But here in Jamaica, we don't have anything like that. So you'll continue to look. The amount of time I sleep on stretcher, you know, just catch a little 5 minutes and then things there before you go back and operate and drink coffee like it going out of style, you know. But it's not right. But we had to do it, and a lot of us, we had to do it almost as a rite of passage, you know. But it's because you just don't have enough trained specialists where you have a situation like that.
Wow.
So human resources.
And the night the fire door with that 15, the way you have to make decision, and you have to go down and say, all right, I'm going to do that one, yeah. and then do this one and then this one. It's supposed to boy heart-wrenching, man. With all the nurse and everybody, them I forget counseling after.
Yeah, man. That night, trust me, that night we had to bring in the counselors because you had people breaking down and bawling in A&E, and you can't tell them get back to work, but you see another ambulance pulling up or another police car pulling up and there's another victim that. So you're just going right through. But this happens a lot at KP, at Spanish Town where I was as well. That was when you had the split in the Klansman gangs, and then you had some other stuff going on. We were operate every night is trauma. Just gunshot coming in. Sometimes you fix them up and everything, and then they die a day later or 2 days later because you don't have any blood.
You don't have no blood.
So you do your best.
Them don't have a blood. Oh, them not have a blood bank or something near there. You have everything have come from town. That's why
I said setting up a trauma center at Spanish Town, putting the blood unit there, blood bank. It would make a massive difference.
Yes. Because it's hard when you do the surgery. You too much time and efforts, and then no blood. Them last blood and them don't have any blood and die after a day or two. That's hard, man. That's very hard, man.
Yeah, you just watch them going down. It's a death watch, really. Because you can't do anything. You can only give them the IV fluid that the gentleman was showing.
But the blood them need.
They need blood.
And you don't have the blood, so you just know, okay, them going away. That's bad. Hey, the big question I want to ask you now, as a doctor, because I see some other doctor now go up in rice mill. Rice a good thing for you, man. You know up in a rice mill or something like that, doctor.
Next question.
No, hey, we'll tell us Lonesome not easy, No, man, because Lonesome not easy, Lonesome not easy. Real doctor,
I do weight loss surgeon as my primary. I've weight loss surgeon as my primary thing. So I help people lose weight. And the first thing I will do is to look at your diet, and there are certain foods that I would not encourage, nor would I continue, nor would I switch and encourage them if I became minister.
Oh, good. And it will be a thing like, come back and wrap up now, but it will be a thing like, you'd have a thing where you'd have farmer, come in, and you'd have signed some money to a company where teach people to eat right. Although, so them not have no work and them not have no food. Like you'd have spend 85 million, give to a company and say, tell the people them what to eat. But them not have no food at them house, You know that. You want to make sure the people them are right, right?
You have to make sure them are right. Food is a medicine. And your medicine is your food. And that's where it started. You can talk about eat right and eat vegetables and so on. But when you can't afford to eat right, is a problem. When the cheapest protein in Jamaica is chicken back. And chicken back is the worst part of the chicken because it has the highest fat content and the lowest protein content. But yet you have some nice brochure telling people they must eat chicken breasts and how much servings of vegetables when they don't even have callaloo. So what they do is to get a whole heap of gravy with the mackerel or the corned beef that's full of fat. And then you stretch it and salt with your hypertension. And then you stretch it. And so your belly full, you load it up with dumpling and rice. That come like when we used to cook when we were on campus and 7 man I get serving out of one tin of beef. But then you put a whole heap of ketchup and rice. So everybody belly full.
It's just a full belly, not nutritious. Just full belly.
Not just a full belly. That is what you have to do. And then you want to cut out sugary drinks and those things in school when that is the only source of energy for many families. So there's a disconnect between what are the realities on the ground and what you would have as your ideal. And the truth is, I learned a lot about the realities on the ground by walking through my constituency and, talking to people. Because I talk to them and find out. I go into them house and see what them life is like. And it's then them telling me, boy, you know, some people, they don't buy the pressure medication because they have to pay them light bill, you know, or they couldn't find the taxi money to go to clinic. So that's why they haven't been to clinic in a while. And that is why they run into problems. You look at food, the corner shop, you know, when you're buying food at the corner shop, it's more expensive than if you go to the uptown supermarket. So you're buying bulk that lasts you three months. So, you know, it's like a poor tax levied on people who, and it results in them not being able to eat properly. You can't get proper nutritious juices, so they get drinks, and it's sugar and syrup and those things. You have to pile up the plate with the rice, and people eat dumpling and butter, fish back, chicken back, all of those things. You know, you don't, and when you get the food, it has to stretch, and the part that is more expensive is the protein, and that is what has to stretch to feed the family. And no, you end up with a diet that is high in carbs, and that is what you grow up on, and then you have diabetes. So you're going to tell somebody to cut carbs. I can't tell them that, because what else they're going to eat? My ideal diet is to eat more protein, get more vegetables, and to cut as much of the carbs as possible. Now, that will work for the patients who can afford to come to me and pay me, and they have insurance. They can meal prep, they can get the protein shakes and so on, and get adequate nutrients. But I can't go into some areas in my constituency and go on a soapbox and say, you need to cut your carbs. No. You know, it don't make any sense. What else are they going to put in the pot? You know, you have simple things that you can do to increase protein availability, like removing the duties of whey protein. Whey protein is something that's supposed to come in free without any, you know, because you can add it to porridge. You can add it to your little milk, condensed milk, or whatever it is. And then you have a nutritious meal that you can give your kids that helps with brain development, because the first 6 years of your life are crucial with brain development. As a matter of fact, it goes further back. If the mother's diet when she's pregnant is not adequate, it determines how successful that child is later on in life. It determines whether or not they get obese. It determines whether or not they tend to use drugs. It determines whether or not they're more likely to get diabetes and high blood pressure, because the maternal nutrition is a significant factor in whether or not you have a low birth weight baby. And a low birth weight baby is at risk for all of these lifelong issues, chronic development, diabetes, high blood pressure, diabetes, and so on. So you realize that when you're looking at reforming health in Jamaica, it's a long-term thing. It's going to be beyond several election cycles. And I would be out of power a long time before you start to reap the real benefits of some of the things that I am proposing.
What the one that I'm proposing now, I like, you want to get the hospital up and running.
The low-hanging fruits, cut out the corruption.
Yes.
Fix procurement, fix supply chain management.
Machine for work.
Machines
all
to
these
work.
Things, beds, everything.
Have
ambulance a long time.
Have bed sheet. What is it going to cost the taxpayers to have bed sheets so that patients can get drips to get the surgeries done? So you have a lot of low-hanging fruits. But then when you talk about the systemic and the policy issues, it's, you know, talking about better antenatal care so that in 20 years that child is going to be more developed. You see why it's not good marketing to focus on these things, because it's not going to come to fruition before the next election cycle.
Yes,
but it's needed if you're talking about long-term development as a nation. So it's nation building we need to be looking at now. And nation building, really and truly, we have to look at education, we have to look at security, and look at health. And it's a long-term thing. There's no marketing involved in all of this. It's dirty work, it's unsexy, and this is work that just has to get done if you're going to impact a generation and build a nation that when we are old and gone, our kids have a better Jamaica.
True. When you look at like Jubilee and these places, right? And I see so much security. I mean, most mom, I don't know, it's running a Jubilee right now, you know, where dad, where the lady have her husband and that, you know, never let go in any one of them theater, any one of them delivery room to go watch him wife and deliver. And him cut neighbor string, not there. But
You
in
can't
the private hospital, they must can do something because, you know, it's a band, you know. It's a great band. Me not theater too, you know. That's what man, me like cut.
Well, it sound like you in theater.
Yeah, man, all right. Me tell me in a theater too, man. I cut everything and we go through one of them things, man. We go in a theater too, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. See? And I'm stay over same way I'm do what I have to do, you know.
All right.
Yes, man. But we want that now in a Jamaica, in the system, that the fathers, them, you know, you have a
Get them
band
involved.
from there. Family morals.
True.
Because you promote family morals, it cut down crime and cut down a lot of things, you know. Want to bring the family back, you know. Put family first.
And that is true.
Yes.
You know, the more so we talk about policy and all of that stuff, but going through the constituency is really community and family people care about primarily. You have to look at things that impact the family and the family structure itself. You don't want a stress out father who, because he can't provide as a breadwinner, you know, it's problems in the house. You don't want mental health issues. You don't want depression. Women turning. I think it was Herbert Gale who did a study that showed that a lot of the men on life sentence or death row, can't remember, but the more dangerous criminals in prison, they said that they were terrorized by their mothers. And we have a thing in Jamaica where women will say to children, you work this like your papa. And if you get up and hear every day, say you work this like your papa, you work this like your papa, one day you're going to believe, you work this like your papa.
Because Trim was a deadbeat, you know. But we don't know where him going either. Because maybe him go up with a mom where
it's a generational curse. It's a generational curse. It's a generational curse that we have to break.
Yes.
And a big part of that is community development. So you see
we need that.
Some of these, what they call unattached youth, is a nice way to say that the youth don't belong in school or whatever. They're not unattached. Humans are pack animals. We live in herds and groups, right? Tribes. And if you don't have something where you're going to be a part of, you're going to find something. So these so-called unattached youth are going to attach themselves to a gang. And that is why the crime problem cannot be solved by killing off these people, because the gang family. Now, I talk to people who used to be in gangs and those things, and they say, "Oh, them look out for you." When other people got this, that is their crew. But we have to substitute this gang. But we can't say we're going to disband gangs and not have something, because they have a saying in science: nature abhors a vacuum. You can't have a vacuum.
And that's what they do now. That's what they do. They're not do police, community policing again. I mean, I said that's wrong.
It's pure bad man policing that they're doing. Police supposed to build a relationship with the people, and that is how crime fighting works. You have to have sports. You know, a lot of overgrown bars.
Right.
In Portmore, there are not a lot of green spaces, and that's because the resources have not been put in. I heard the mayor say the other day that from 2016, they have not gotten one street light from local Ministry of Local Government. People want football to play. You know, I just see some youths a while ago, not even in my constituency, and I see them playing with a old ball, and I just took out one of the ball that I got from JFF and throw it, give them and say, here. You know, they look at you, them take the new ball and throw it over the fence in one of them yard and go and play with the old ball. So them,
okay. You see them mindset on something, you know.
They will put it down. They will put it down for later. Because this ball will work.
That's it. Them mindset.
This ball will work.
That one before this. Yes.
So,
but you see, we have recreation for them too.
We have
you cannot build a scheme and you don't build no park for the kids.
Exactly.
The young ones, them, you know, them can come outside and everything.
You need green spaces.
You come together, you need the green spaces.
And a lot of our urban development now, where you have all of these high rises, is a concrete jungle we're building in Kingston right now. And you know, one of the things that kind of hurt me is when I drive past King's House and I see so much crown land just bush up. and barred off from Jamaican people going there and enjoying themselves. And the only thing we have is really Devon House and Emancipation Park. We ought to have more. I would have loved if we could have taken some of that land from King's House and turn it into community, where people can go and get picnics and those
Yes,
things.
yes. Community walks. Yes,
Yeah,
picnics,
step
yes.
walks, exercise, all of these
Yes.
things. And that will make you feel better. There's a study coming out of Australia that said that exercise is 3 times as effective as antidepressants in treating depression.
Yes, of
So
course.
and we know that when you exercise.
You agree with me? You agree with me, doctor? When I say the body eat itself, right?
The body
Because
heals
of people
itself.
don't, well, your study, you know that.
No,
Because
it's holistic. You see, more and more I go with holistic medicine. You know, you see,
Yes.
when you're young and start out as a surgeon and you're arrogant and bossy and say, yeah, you can fix everything, and you start operating, you get fast, you get a little bossy. But then you realize that with complications and with some people not doing as well as others, and some people come in with body injuries and then they do better than those with less severe disease, you realize that it is really the body and God that make a difference.
Yes.
And it's very humbling. So, the more you delve into it, the more you realize that your physiological age have more to do with your real age, whereby how your body, some 70-year-old people, my father loved to tell me, say him is the fittest does until him get sick the other day. But when you're active and exercise, your age is several years younger. Your body's age is several years younger, your physiological age. And if you're in tune with your body in terms of your state of mind, in terms of stress, the food that you're eating, not too much processed food, not too much sugar, all of these things, it make you feel better. Overall, your state of mind helps you to heal better. When you lie down on the bed poorly and all of them things there, you don't do as well as when you get up and start move around.
Yes, yes.
And that's something that I insist on my patients when I have the surgery on them. Go home the next day, go spend some time with your family. We used to have to think where you can't go home until you pass gas. People in the hospital and I keep them there for 2 days just to pass gas. But they do better when they're at home.
Yes, yes.
All of these
No, you just through the surgery, you just want to know so them a work right to pass some gas in the system up.
Yeah.
You want to send them home. So yes. Yeah.
You can't wait days for that, man. Go home. And that's where the world moving to. But them find scientific principles. But is their holistic approach to healthcare, with diet, nutrition, stress relief, sleep, and screening for diseases, because I like to say that even though you might be doing all the right things, you might have a factory fault.
Yes.
And that factory fault make you more predisposed to developing certain diseases. So like as a black man, on this side of the Atlantic, you have
all these things.
and hypertension. You must
hypertension and all these things too. Yes.
We get more prostate and hypertension than black men in Africa. You can argue why, but with the salt, they have a theory that the Africans that survived the Middle Passage are the ones that hold on to them salt and the water, so they never died on that crossing. All of them, the Africans who couldn't do that, they died and they got thrown overboard the ships. So everybody, every black man on this side of the world there, we all black people, we tend to hold on to salt more. And that's why the water tablets work better for hypertension than other reasons.
What happened though? Our parents feed up on a diet of salt from down here. And if the food not taste good unless it's salt, so the palate, want some salt, man. We need this. And then we eat too much of it per day and too much sugar. Because you say too much gram if you eat per day, you're going to eat a bulla, they eat bun, you drink something sweet. You're gone over, where you're supposed to eat for the day. And then, and everything with salt too. In a bread, it's in a bun, and the sweetness take it out to salt, and so you overdo yourself. And for decades you do it, and then when you go check, all kind of things happen to you. High blood pressure, this, that, and all kind of things. And you can't do it without your salt same way. You still want to dive down in it, and you still want to dive down in the sugar. Like you want to get rid of yourself. Because they're poison to your body, Too much of that, We know, man. You tell us you're a doctor too,
Yeah, man. And Jamaicans have a style, You will eat and your belly full, but you feel for something nice. So you
Ice cream.
yeah man, you go on for a snack or something. This
Yeah.
feel for something nice thing. Or sometimes you're not hungry but you feel peckish. So you just want something to munch on. And that's where the slice of bread or bun or some crackers or something comes from. And all of these are cravings that is usually foods that are bad for you. So
No man.
anybody listening, if it's one takeaway you have tonight, listen
Yes.
to your body and ignore it when you feel for something nice and you're feeling peckish, because that is when you usually mess up your diet.
You see that man, me guilty of that. Feel something nice. Your mama Anja asks about what is fish back. She knows about chicken back and she asks about the fish back now.
Fish back real, man. When you cut off, you fillet all of it and then it have a little bit of meat on it.
Yeah, at the bone and a little meat.
More bone and little meat.
More
So
bone and little meat. With the head pan it same way.
yeah, so it's a cheap protein, the low quality protein
Yes.
that is providing sustenance for the majority of Jamaica. And like I said, the number one source of protein is chicken back in Jamaica, which is why you see these guys, they use the chicken back license as a hustling tool.
Oh, yeah, man. But them chicken there, you know, no disrespect still, but me ask them, oh, the chicken that's so yellow. Then the chicken mama buy and cut off the back and look on it. Just yellow like a drunk back. I want to ask where them get them kind of chicken back. Oh, it looks so. Oh, them chicken that looks so. Where them come from?
Your foreign chicken different from ours or yours, man.
Yeah, man, but them import a lot of chicken back, but me never buck up them one day like that.
Well, you're not going to, but remember that most of the chicken back is a refuse from the factories that use the chicken parts, the breast and the wing and all of them things, you know. So we would get, so in the Caribbean, we would get chicken back. And if you're going to the Pacific, like America and Samoa and those places, they get turkey tail.
Oh.
So the which is another refuse again. And then oxtail used to be like that until oxtail become a delicacy now and get ridiculously expensive.
Turkey neck get expensive too.
Turkey neck, yeah, all of these things.
Well, me I tell you, no people they must say you have to have a part 2 and a part 3.
You tell me 1 hour, you have me here for
nearly 2
hours, man.
Listen, listen, the people that are requested back in, and we have like more than 1,600 and something devices. Got thousands of people watch me, thousands.
Yeah.
If I come on for this, maybe like 8,000-10,000. You see, I'm more than that too, because it show me how much devices. When I go up on the next page, it show me how much devices. So this will show that 1.6.
And the stay, they don't get bored and drop off.
Listen, you remember we turn all 4 hours, 3 hours and them thing there, yes, man. Nobody now move. Them, I'm a tough fuck when me tell them if I go eat, me snap and me swim around them, I say, hey, you should have eat already. Me I say, no, man, me want to eat my come on, go eat my bickle right now too, you know. So when them see me I move, so me know showing it them, I say, I run him one go and go eat him bickle, I watch him time now, you know. And my bickle me want to eat. See them I say the classroom. Yeah, man, them know me want to eat my bickle. We keep it real around here, you know. But them say we have to carry your back, man. Part 2 and part 3, because them want to hear from real doctor.
All right, wait till after the election, because we still have to go back into the constituency.
But tell me something though. Before your councillors, can you just name me and tell me about the councillors them and who the people them for vote for? Just call out them name and tell us, man. Yes.
So we have 5 divisions in Southeast St. Catherine, and Southeast St. Catherine runs from, everybody would know, Back Road, Port Henderson, go all the way back to Nagoit. So we have Edgewater, Portsmouth, and Ananda Way. Then you're going to Waterford, Independence City, Bridgeport, Westport, Westchester. So the divisions are Edgewater Division, and that's Alric Campbell. He's the deputy mayor as well. Then you have Bridgeport is Kennard Grant, Fenley Douglas for Waterford, and Rainier Benjamin for Westchester. We have 4 sitting councillors. Then the councillor candidate for Independence City is Junior Gale. And Junior is the one that we're trying to get him into the council as well. So we want to hold on to 4 and gain 1 in this election. For some reason, I don't know why the Prime Minister takes it in Portmore. You know, he's here at least twice a week nowadays.
No, well, I can
uh,
tell you something, and I will say it again. Prime Minister damage goods. Nobody now take the lies and the stupidness again. Done with that. Andrew, you know me talk straight. Me not go around and me not add down nothing. Me call a clubs, a spade, diamond, and art, art. You are damaged goods. The lies, nobody knowing that again.
Well, I'm not taking that for granted. We still
Yes.
doing the work. But to tell you the truth, there are a lot of disillusioned people who voted for them the last time. They're not coming back out to vote for them. Some people are actually embarrassed if you call them Labour. Right? I remember one lady came out of her veranda and cussed one of the guys who was walking with me because he was saying, nobody stop at that yard is a Labour, right? And she came out and said to me, I voted for them. But if you're working and you're working for me, then I'll vote for you. But don't make nobody call me no Labour, right? So I had to call the guy and say, don't do that, you know. We still want to meet everybody.
Yes.
Because when we're in, we're just going to work for everybody. There's a community that's going to develop, not just giving handouts and favors to supporters. You know, I've made that clear already. So I'm not taking it for granted, but a lot of people, you know, they just said that they're not voting PNP, but they're not going back out to vote for them.
Make sure all the people that who you talk to and everything, avoid them camera, anything suspicious. I need some of those clippings here.
Oh,
Somebody, the Prime Minister who around there, just make sure them video anything.
The vote buying is going to be
them thing because them move suspicious, eh?
The vote buying is going to be a serious
Soon going to the song, yes.
No, I said the vote buying is going to be a serious problem because, like I said, what has happened is that there has been this alliance between some ministers and certain people who get funneled a lot of contracts, and there's a little network there now that they're going to do anything at all to preserve that feeding tree, and if they can pay for votes to keep that MP in power, in you know, and the government in power, then that little clique will continue to make a killing at the expense of the communities and
Jamaica and all.
Right.
Right at Jamaica.
So that is why the vote buying, we have to address it, because that is a system that they are relying on to take them across. That even though people are upset, even though people think that the country is moving in the wrong direction, the money on the day will continue that system.
Yeah, but hear this now. No care what them do. And I can't tell them the real manlites are real comrade will not take the money. And it's like naturally when the people them come out to vote, they have 3-1. Naturally. Them have more socialists than, and then most of them people. I remember, you know, if you look on the voting from 2016 to 2020, we'd have 867,000, 868,000 vote in a 2016 election. That's a look a quick rundown now, and I'm going to something else now.
Yeah, man.
But we have 1.9, nearly 2 million people registered for vote at the time. And then 2020, when them call it low turnout, because the popular vote in 2016 was 437,000 something for the JLP and 430,000 something, couple hundred for the PNP. Now the popular turnout, when they put the popular vote, when them spend the bag of money last 2020, if the PNP they just come out, so PNP win them with ease, 100 and something thousand people don't come out. Remember, them not get it, you know. So it drop a 700 and something thousand vote. But tell me what now, the JLP, with the money with them spend, it's this, that, all of the money with them spend, them lose 30,000 vote. That means him not so popular. You know, you just check it, go and check it back. Him not so popular. When the others, the PR stand for pure rubbish. In my side, pure PR rubbish.
Rubbish.
So yes, PR stunt, pure rubbish. Them talk and do them because foolishness. We know that. So them get 407,000 vote in the last election. Lose 30,000. Them go down to 21%, the lowest in any other country that null and void. Yeah, under 25%, you know, the 50% of that, you know, you get 21% and run a government with 21%. That means 21%, 79% of people, some will vote and not vote, 79% of the voting population. Not see you. And you lead with a heavy hand and I say, Radam, 15 years, any boy make a little boy, and now them turn every ghetto youth is a star the other day. I never know. At the same ghetto youth, this way, want to get 15 and 45 years and send up prison and do everything. But every ghetto youth, not every Jamaican, you know, every ghetto youth is a star. You don't do PR like that. Him too be a face. Them to stop this. Stop. I want thing I like oppressors. I like them bully. I like them kind of tactic the way you step and crush ghetto people. And trick them. And play
remember, as the corner shop used to spread COVID. You know?
Thank you, sir.
Not the packed supermarkets uptown. The corner shop.
The corner shop. And then them turn the one yesterday, every ghetto youth a star. Not under my watch. That's what I'm going to watch today, you know. I make sure I put it on because it not work. As long as I'm saying you say it not work. I tell them straight. I'm going to talk straight. We have to carry you back, you know, because the people that requested back, I'm going to eat my bickle. So, Dr. Dawes.
Yeah, man.
Next
time. Take
yes,
care.
man.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for sticking through the whole show when we're talking all over the place.
Yes, man.
All right.
We have to talk again, yes, sir?
Yeah,
all right. Later.
Good.
We'll come back with part 2 after him.
After the election.
After election. Remember now, call the name of them again. Who want to vote for?
Waterford, Finley. And don't forget Mayor Leon Thomas. Leon would have must whenever. So you vote directly for the mayor. Yes. And the mayor is Leon Thomas.
Leon Thomas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then for Edgewater Division is Alric Campbell. For Waterford Division, Finley Douglas. For Westchester is Renier Benjamin. For Bridgeport, Kennard Douglas.
Good.
Kennard Douglas. Kennard Grant. And for
Independent City,
it is Junior Gill.
Okay. All right. Make sure to turn out. You know, on the tens and thousands go vote. Yeah. Andrew, you can't treat nobody again. I'm up. Later, my brother.
All right.
Take care.
All right, brother.